Senator Lieberman, you know that the most important issue, most probably for Iranian people and for Iran currently, is the nuclear program.
Yes.
And the impact it has on the lives of Iranian people. Iran is currently under tough sanctions. There's talk of war here and there. And the negotiations have not led to any concrete result yet. So, as a first question, I wanted to ask you about the current approach of U.S. administration towards Iran. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, I'm supportive of the current approach of the United States administration toward Iran's nuclear weapons development program. I mean, we think there's evidence clear that not just from the U.S., but international United Nations agencies, that the Iranian regime is building the capacity to build a nuclear weapon, many of them, and that if that happened, it would be threatening to the entire region and the entire world, based not on our speculation, but what the leaders of the current regime in Iran and Tehran have said. But we're trying very hard in every way we can through diplomacy and economic pressure to avoid the need for military action. But I regret to say that at this moment, as we talk, nothing that we have done has caused the regime in Tehran to alter its course on the nuclear development program at all. And so we're coming to a point where there's going to have to be, there'll only be two choices for not just the U.S. and Israel, but other countries. Will we simply sit back and let Iran become a nuclear power and destabilize the region and start a nuclear arms race in the Middle East? Or will we be compelled to take some military action to delay or destroy that program? I hope it doesn't come to that. Nobody in the U.S. is eager or wants to attack the nuclear facilities of Iran, but the American desire for peace has sometimes over our history been mistakenly interpreted as a sign of weakness. In this case, I think members of both parties politically in the United States and the American people want peace with Iran, but if Iran doesn't respond by altering its nuclear program, the prospects of U.S. military action are high.
Speaking of military action, Senator Lieberman, in February 2012, you co-sponsored a resolution urging action to prevent Iran from pushing, and I quote, forward in its pursuit of a nuclear weapons capability by rejecting any policy that would rely on containment of a nuclear weapons capable Iran. Now, as you're aware, there have been some different interpretations about the use of word capability, and for instance, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff for Secretary of State Colin Powell, said in a discussion in FCNL that this resolution reads like the same sheet of music that got us into the Iraq War and could be the precursor for a war with Iran. It's effectively a thinly disguised effort to bless war. So how do you interpret the word Iran's capability?
Yeah. There was one major focus of that resolution, and it was, if you will, a response to some thinking in the U.S. and in Europe that perhaps it wouldn't be so bad if Iran got nuclear weapons, that we could contain Iran and its nuclear weapons, and many of us in the U.S. Senate and many of our allies throughout the world felt that's a terrible mistake, because if this regime in Tehran has nuclear weapons capacity, it will, we believe, threaten the entire region around it and may eventually threaten.
But what defines the word capable? It's rather a vague word.
Okay, so that's, I understand the focus on that, but I do want to say the main purpose of that resolution was to send a message to our government, the United States government, but also to the government in Tehran, the way this is going to end cannot be with you getting nuclear weapons. It's to our government to say, don't begin to seriously consider this idea that we can live with a nuclear weapons Iran, because it will so change the security of the Middle East and Europe and the US, the world, that we have to prevent it. We can't contain it. The second part, lesser of importance in that resolution, but so I thought Mr. Wilkerson focused not on the most important part, was capability. And just to make a long story short, and it's hard to fully define the line here, but what the sponsors of the resolution were saying is that we can't, and again, we were sending a message to our government and to the regime in Tehran. It doesn't make any sense to wait until Iran actually has nuclear weapons to take military action. What we're saying is we have to be ready if all else fails, economic sanctions, diplomacy, etc.